Hi guys, it's Allie again. I'm here to show you how to create images for water slides or sticker paper or a simple print and cut for your heat transfer. Any image, any photograph, any clip art, anything that you want to remove the background from. Now you can still do this in Design Space and remove the background with their little eraser tool. I personally will not use the eraser tool and convert or upload my images in Design Space because the eraser tool in Design Space is a harsh, hard erase line, and you can easily see where you have erased and how unsmooth the lines may be. So the program that I use is called Gimp, and it is pretty much like Photoshop, but it is free. So in order to download that, just go to gimp.org and then you'll download, and then you can download the program, follow the instructions, and then once you have it, open the program, and we're going to go through easier programs to convert, or not convert really, but remove the background, and more difficult ones, and some of the things that Gimp can do for you. So here we are. We're going to go File, Open. Now, I have two images. Let's do the one with the white background. So first we're going to start with this one. And the first thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that the layer has a transparency layer behind it. So in order to do that, we're going to go Layers, Transparency, Add Alpha Channel. Okay, if this is grayed out, once I click it, if I try to go back, it's grayed out. Sometimes your images will already have an alpha channel embedded within them. So this will be grayed out. If it's grayed out, it already has it. If it's not, make sure to click it. And I will show you what happens. Now we can take and go over here to the left-hand side and look for Eraser Tool. It's right here on the close to the bottom. It says Eraser Tool. Erase the background or transparency using a brush. So we're going to highlight that. And then all the way over here on the right side is all your different brushes. So this is literally, like this one over here is literally a brush that looks like that, and it will erase in that form. Okay, so I'm going to undo all that, so that is definitely not what I want it to look like. The best brush to use is one of these fuzzy circles. Okay, and that's because it doesn't have the hard erase line like that solid circle. The solid circle will give you a straight hard erase, and that's what I don't like about Design Space. So the fuzzy circle, if we hold Control and zoom in, you can see it does a fuzzier edge, and then as we go drop down in size of the circles over here, it makes it even more fuzzy as we go down, all the way to where it's way far away from the circle edge. So if you look, when I click my button and erase, look at how much actually erased in that big circle. So typically I use the third less fuzzy circle, and we'll erase right there, and now you can see how much it erased. Now, back over here on the left has your size. Let's zoom back out so you can get an idea of how crazy these sizes are. It says 51, and to me this is huge, but this thing goes up to ginormous, covers the whole screen. So we're going to adjust this down, and I usually use a very low brush size. So let's go with 11, and I'm going to zoom in until the pixels of this thing just get ugly. And I'm going to drop my brush down. Now I'm going to click and drag and just slowly start erasing right along the edge. And don't be afraid to cut off some of the image, because believe it or not, you will be really surprised at what you don't take off. You think you're taking off like tons of color, but you're not, because we have zoomed so far in. So we're just going to slowly just work around here. You may need to zoom out to kind of get an idea of what's going on. I'm just going to take that all out. We're just going to slowly erase, keeping some of this yellowed background. This watercolor kind of look. And at this point, I can't even really tell what the image is. I can just see where the white is versus, you know, darker color. And that's really all I'm looking for, is just to have the color areas and not the white. That's going to be too skinny. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. I don't like having, in terms for like water slides and stickers, whoops, Control Z is your quick shortcut for undoing. I don't like doing stickers or water slides that have non-attached pieces. So I like everything to be one whole image. So if that requires me to erase, like, you know, these little pieces over here or this little piece down here, then so be it. I would rather erase that stuff than have to deal with trying to put a little tiny piece onto, because I do tumblers, so a little tiny piece onto my tumbler. So we're just gonna go around, working around, just, you know, I'm just sloppily erasing this background. I'm not trying to make it perfect. And because of the type of background that I have on this image, I will show you what else I do to kind of blend it to make it look better. Like I said, I'm just sloppily just erasing and just kind of getting rid of okay. Now, because I'm working with such a tiny brush, I'm going to up the size and back up to a larger brush and come back in and just start erasing the rest of all this. And sometimes I'll switch back over to the hard brush because I've already done the nice soft line, oops, next to the image. So now I can use the hard brush to get in and erase all the pieces that are no longer connected. And I'm not trying to make this perfect. This is just a tutorial to give you guys an idea. That's why I'm not worrying about accidentally erasing pieces of it that I shouldn't be. Okay, almost done. Now, what I do to soften these edges is I will grab one of these smoky brushes over here on the right. And as you can see, it looks kind of like this. That one would work. This one would work. any of these that are kind of just got a weird shape and outside edge. And I will zoom in and just kind of, just on the edge, take this. Let's make it smaller so you guys can kind of see. So it's hard to see where the thing is at, but just kind of go in and just slowly, lightly blend the edges. Just blending the edge so that it doesn't look like someone cut this out with a pair of scissors. So we're just lightly blending everything. Like I said, y'all have to excuse, I'm not trying to make it perfect. I'm just trying to do a quick tutorial here so you can see once we blend it up here and then upload it, you can see how it looks. Alright. Probably just leave those alone. Okay. So there's our image, and say that we're good with how it looks. We like how it turned out. We're going to go File, and you have the option to save or export. Now, saving will save this as a Gimp file, meaning you can come back to it later and continue working on it. If in order to save it to use it, you need to export it. So we're going to click Export. We're going to select where we want to put it. I always save my stuff to the desktop. We're going to rename it. We'll just do Butterfly Eye. And then you see that how the file extension says JPEG. A JPEG is just a basic digital photo. Okay, and that is not what a PNG stands for. PNG is the only file extension that will upload into Design Space without a background. So in order to change this, we can actually just erase and put PNG, or we can go down here to File Select and scroll down to the PNG image and select it, and then hit Export, and then you can just leave all these defaults, hit Export, and there we go. Now we can go back into Design Space, and we will upload the image. And this is the original. This is the one that I renamed to Butterfly Eye. So we're going to click that one. And as you can see, it doesn't have a background, so we're just going to hit Simple, Continue. And see, it still doesn't have a background. Continue. And now this is where you get to see kind of how Design Space is going to cut it out. So you can see it has like choppy edges versus just like a straight scissor cut. I tend to like mine to look like this because I put them on cups. So I need this completely, you know, cut out the way that it is, and then it just goes straight onto a cup. If you're doing this for like a sticker, you know, you may want the straight edges, or with this image, because it's not a set thing, it has, you know, the watercolor splash behind it. So doing it this way, you still get the watercolor behind it, but it keeps it from looking super defined lines. So then we would just save it as a print and cut, and then you can just upload it right into Design Space. And then you can go to make it and print it, and Design Space will cut it out for you. So that is one with a background that we want to keep. Now let's do, close out of this one, reopen Gimp, and let's try an image that has a colored background that we don't want to keep. So we're going to go File, Open, and then we're going to click on my desktop, find my image. It's one of these. There we go. Okay, so I want just the bird. I don't want all this behind the bird. So the same thing, we would we would check the layer. It has an alpha channel, so we don't need to add one. It's grayed out, we can't. So we would click on the eraser tool, go over here and select our brush, zoom into the bird, adjust our brush size down where we need it, and just slowly go along his edge. Now, if you zoom in really far, you can clearly see I'm taking away some of this bird's color. But when we zoom out, you can't tell. Because we're doing it by pixels, and pixels, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of pixels in a picture. And we're only erasing 6 pixels at a time, because that's what my brush size is, 6. So you're thinking that you're taking away a lot of color, but you're not. So don't be afraid to, you know, erase into the bird, because you're not taking away enough to matter. Now, if you went just like crazy and went way in, then yes. But if you stay on the edge and take away, you'll be fine. And as you can see, the color changes here. And if you look really closely, you can tell the green blurs down into the black, and that's what I mean by pixels. When you move out, you can see a clearly defined black beak, but yet zoomed in, the more we zoom in, the more we see green into this defined beak. And that's why I said you can take away some of that color where it fades, and it will not even be noticeable at all because of the amount of pixels that are within the photo. So we're just gonna quickly, and again here with his brown chest, you can see how the blue is fading into the brown. So you want to get all that out. If I left it like this, if I left it close like that, okay, so I left some green there, and zoom out, you can actually still see that green. If you look very closely right there, you can see the green. So that's why I said you want to go into the color just a smidge to get rid of where that color bleeds into the pixels. If you're wanting to get rid of the real background, you know, of the image and only have just the bird. We're just gonna start on this side. Trying to make this quick. All right. I'm not trying to make it perfect. I'm trying to keep the video short. Okay, so now I've got them all traced out. Get my main eraser, the harsh line one, and we're just going to erase all this background. Get up close to them here before I zoom in. Get as much of the background removed as possible. Okay. Now, make my brush smaller, zoom in here so I don't mess them up, and erase the little bit that I left. Brush is too big to get up in there. All right. Almost finished. This can be slightly time consuming as well. I just chopped off some of his head, but that's alright. We're going to keep going. Okay. Oh, I thought I was done. Make this bigger. Alright, now File, Export As, change it to Bird, pull the drop down, go to PNG, PNG image, export, export, finished, design space, upload, look for our one we named Bird, simple, and there we go. Insert it into the canvas, and now we have our bird. We could easily print this out and put it on heat transfer, printable heat transfer, printable vinyl, printable sticker paper, water slide, you name it, you can print it out and put it on it. So that is how you can remove your backgrounds and make the image look a whole lot nicer and fade, you know, the edges versus trying to do it in design space. So next we're going to cover how to add or subtract or remove people from an image. So be sure to check out my videos, and happy crafting, guys.